Lisa Jacovsky and I go back about a year or more. I think I initially met her because she was doing a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I appeared in her podcast. And then when our Friends and Fun program had a transition in leadership, I reached out to her about um, being our discussion host leader. So Lisa was kind enough to do that, and she's been doing that since
Yeah.
January this year. Lisa has lots of different roles, and we'll hear about those. But one is she does write children's book, and that was kind of how we became aware of her because she uses autistic people to do the design, and I'm sure she'll go into that as well. I'm going to just take a minute and share our website and the activities for this um, this month. And so if this is your first time here, welcome. The Orange County Asperger Support Group is about helping teens and adults who have a diagnosis of being autistic, maybe level 1 autistic, and about helping them improve their quality of life. We do that through support, through social activities, and through education. And today's one of those educational sessions.
Hi, Judy. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for having me. I am Lisa Jacovsky. I am a professor of psychology and an award-winning children's book author. So yes, I do wear many hats. But the really great thing is that this year, both sides of my career are finally blending together. So I have a lot of really, really awesome things coming out. But I'll start with my journey with being an author. I always wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. I just never fully really knew how. And I think just growing up, you kind of always hear how hard it is to break in or get a traditional publisher. So it was never something that I took serious until I was at work one day and I got inspired. So I think for me, I was just always going towards psychology. I've always loved trying to figure out why kids act the way they do. So I actually started in applied behavior analysis in 2014. And when I switched to working with kids, that's when I actually started to get inspired to write my first book series. It's called Let's Talk, and that series is all about different social issues for each book and a different activity. And the reason I decided to do that is because the last residential group home company I worked with as a behavior specialist, they asked me to plan different activities every month for the adults. And it was really, really fun. I got to take them on roller coasters at Dorney Park and take them apple and pumpkin picking. We went to Crayola Factory. We had a non-alcoholic paint and sip. I ran the Special Olympics bowling, and I wanted to really bring that experience, that positivity to something that would explain it really well for kids. My books have become something that adults really love too, which I never expected. But I'm so thankful for that too, because I've had a number of adults come up to me and tell me that, now they understand their child better, their neighbor, their grandchild better. So the reception of my books has been so much more than I ever could have thought it had been. And in writing my first book, I wrote it in a way it could be a series or just its own book. And I never really expected everything to blow up the way it did. So the Let's Talk series is now joined by the Cat Brothers series. There's now the Happy Thoughts series. Book number 2 just got published in Happy Thoughts series. Got published last Friday, so a week ago. Thank goodness. Because that's one of my favorite books. There's also my Bones and Friends series. And the next book to come out, which will be next year, will be another brand new series. So all of my books have something very, very special about them, whether it's, my Let's Talk series and having to do with the communication and the social issues factor, or my brand new book, Happy Thoughts, that just came out. That is actually a spinoff of Let's Talk, And it's my character with autism who's nonverbal that narrates. So, how does she narrate if she's nonverbal? With her thoughts. So, these are the thoughts she's speaking as she narrates, and she can read and write. So, that's how she communicates. But one of the absolute best things to come out of being an author is working with Brainstorm. And that's how I met Judy. Marlene Sharp actually recommended that I interview Judy on my podcast. It's an award-winning podcast called No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. It is on hiatus right now, but I did have it for 3 years. And I interviewed individuals and organizations making a difference. And that's how I met Brainstorm too. Marlene Sharp was connected to me through another author friend. So literally, it's been all networking. When I wrote Let's Talk in 2018, I never expected that once I published it in 2020 to be embraced by this beautiful author community that really has helped me network and grow so much.
Hey,
But
Lisa,
it was,
I want to interject a little bit because you're mentioning a bunch of things, and I
yeah.
think a lot of people don't know about all the different people and groups that you're talking about. So let me give a
Oh,
little
yeah, I was going to explain them too.
context to that. So
But yeah.
just that's okay. So for those who don't know, we've been running Autism and Entertainment since May of 2022, and in the spring of 2024, we hosted a conference. And if you guys want to know more about that, we can share that later. When we started, we didn't know anybody, and now we know lots of people. And one of the people that we met was Marlene Sharp, who is now part of our work group. Marlene's background is she started off as an actress, and she also worked for game companies and dealt with toy merchandising, and she does a lot of PR. And so she really is part of our outreach. And I've leveraged her with OCSG to help us with some of our social media and outreach. So Marlene is active with OCSG and with Autism and Entertainment, and she is how we met Lisa. Brainstorm Productions is a organization that's one of the 20 Autism and Entertainment educational partners. They are a regional center vendor, and they offer training in animation to people on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And Marlene worked with them during COVID, putting on a webinar series, and that's how she got involved with the autism community. And so Lisa, did she introduce you? And just let me just, for a little context, and also if you could share a little bit more about your books. I don't think people are familiar with them, so the cover or something like that, so that people can see. But let me just take a second and just share more about, if you want to go to the Autism and Entertainment site, you can get to it from the OCSG site. It's right here. And if you look at About Us, you'll see a nice picture of Marlene right here. Yeah. And if you also look at our educational partners, this is where you can find information about Brainstorm Productions, and this is more about them. So, okay, I'm going to let it go back to you, but I'm just trying to help bridge what people might not know about, and I appreciate you mentioning all those things.
Oh, yeah. So Brainstorm is actually the brainchild of the Center for Learning Unlimited, the CLU. They train as a school individuals with autism in animation, and they created Brainstorm for the individuals to have some place to work. And they branched out from animation to books. So my Cat Brothers series, Rascal Cat Brothers, is the first one in that series was actually their third book that they illustrated and did layout for, and that was printed in 23. So they also do a lot of different things. They do gifts. They were just at a film festival. They're doing so much. It's crazy. But Brainstorm is absolutely incredible. Marlene is literally the best. She is so amazing. She came on my podcast, No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. And during the interview, she asked me to talk to Brainstorm. And it started as me coming on to talk about being an author to inspire them and motivate them to continue to follow their dreams and keep pushing. And during that conversation, they came up and asked me, "Hey, do you have books that we could work on?" And that's how our relationship started. And right now, they have done the illustrations and layout for 6 of my books, and they are doing the next one. And what happens is each book is a different set of individuals with autism. So it's different cohorts, they call it. And what we're doing is they're having a team leader reach out to me with all the information so that way they can work on training for how to work with clients instead of having the individuals that work at Brainstorm reach out to me. They're having the actual individuals with autism do it instead. So it's really fun. I love when we have our Zoom meetings and I get to meet them. They are so incredibly talented. They have taken challenges from my books and just taken it completely to another level. You know, it's my Cat Brothers series is actually based on my two silly kitties. And I wanted the colorings to be very specific because my one tabby has specific colors and they did incredible. Another thing that they came up with was 12 different illustrators for 12 different designs. So each illustration in every one of my books by them is a different illustrator. So instead of, except for Perfect, and I'll get to that book. So all 5 of the books they've done, each illustration is a different style by a different illustrator with autism. So it's pretty amazing. That was their idea too. I'm pretty much a big risk taker. I'm very flexible, laid back. So when they came to me with that idea, I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And the reception to it when I go to festivals, when I do interviews, everyone is blown away. I even just got a review, one of my first reviews for Happy Thoughts that said how beautiful the illustrations are. Um, and I always email them, my bone series, I'll get to that as well. It just won its second award, so I always email them about that. I always send them 10 copies of the books as well. They are professional. You would never know that they had any kind of a learning disability like autism. They are so sweet and incredible and just so talented. So it's an honor. Oh, thank you. Because I was going to say I can always go get up and get my books. But yes, you can Google my books. So my Let's Talk series has 4. You can see Let's Talk, A Story is 1, Let's Talk Going to the Zoo is 2. And there's my Cat Brothers series, Mischievous. I'll talk about Perfect and Spooky as well. But they have done all my books outside of the Let's Talk series. So Let's Talk is my series that was my original one. There's 4 books in that series. It's illustrated by Blueberry, and that was before I met Brainstorm. So I wanted to keep continuity. So you can see in this book, there's a PEC system, and my little one with autism was inspired by a client that I had. So I wanted to show, autism the way that I see it. It's just something beautiful and just a different way to learn. And each book is a different activity that is near and dear to my heart. And I based that off of the 2 years that I spent at a company taking my clients everywhere because I had 0 issues, nothing. So that was the Let's Talk series. And then, oh, that's really cool out of stock. So on to the other books. So Perfect as I Am is my special needs cat book. So that book was illustrated by one individual from Brainstorm. They were nice enough to ask her if she would do it because they're special needs cats. One has hydro, one has 3 legs, and one is blind. And I wanted them to come off not silly or cartoonish. So she was nice enough to do all the illustrations for it. And this is my introduction to special needs cats. It has some things from different special needs fosters that I follow. And this is the narrator with hydrocephalus, and he's narrating, talking about hydro, talking about how he's still like a kitty, same with his brothers, Bones and Bender. Even though he has three legs and he's blind, and that's why he's on top of the cat tree. He's blind, but he can still do it. So I have a spin-off of this book, and it's called Bones and Friends, and it's a mystery series. And Brainstorm illustrated the second book in that, and it came out in January. So I don't see it here, but there is a spin-off. Barnes and Noble has all of those books. I don't know if so Bones and Friends, or maybe if you put my name in, it might come up too. But that series, yeah, Barnes and Noble has all of them on there. That's something I just discovered that has made the little kid in me like the happiest person alive. I can actually like see all my books on Barnes and Noble, which I grew up going to. Like that has been like the coolest thing ever. But they just did Bones and Friends, and they did such an incredible job. They did book two. So there's my happy thoughts. I'll talk about that as well. It just came out. Rascal Cat Brothers. There it is. Mystery of the Vanishing Fish. So that book is a spin-off of Perfect as I Am. And the reason I did that is each one is a different brother talking. So this one is Bender with three legs. And it shows all three of the boys solving a cute kitty mystery. So the first one is them trying to figure out where did the cat toys go? But how do you do that when you're so tiny, you have hydrocephalus, you also have balance issues? How do you do that when you're blind? So that's why I wrote that series. And Vanishing Fish showcases Bender with three legs. How does a three-legged cat get around? Just like any other cat. How does, Bo with no eyes able to see and talk to the fish friends? Same way any other cat can. His other senses are heightened, so he can still talk to them. He just can't physically see. So, with this huge success and just the love of the special needs community and my cute little kitties right here in Rascal Cat Brothers, I decided to bring awareness to special needs cats. And everybody's been loving them as well. And people had no idea that cats had special needs. So, the beautiful part about my books is that not only am I bringing things that I'm passionate about to the world, I'm showing things in a way that people had no idea. And it's very, very special. And you can see with these books, with the Let's Talk series, this is number three, they're bowling. Number four is holidays. It's all different stuff. These are things that are important to me, but not many people go bowling anymore, but I don't care. I'm going to bring them to the bowling alley and showcase how do we deal with, a little one with autism that has to wear a mask during the pandemic. Because that was something I had to work with my clients to help them understand too. Number four, Let's Talk Celebrating the Holidays showcases more than Christmas. I'm actually Jewish, but I grew up with both in my house. And my client that inspired Emma was Indian and celebrated Diwali. And that's how I learned so much about that beautiful holiday. And I did do research for it to make sure, because I wanted to make sure I was very much correct. And that book shows all three friends that you see in Happy Thoughts, because now we're including Jerry on the cover, celebrating Hanukkah, Christmas, and Diwali. And I just think it's so amazing that we can take something like books and showcase these things that are not talked about or not talked about enough. Children need to be brought up to learn the positives of somebody who's different and see it as something that's beautiful and just be like, who cares if they're different? And that's the really great thing about these books. You know, um, Happy Thoughts Going to the Beach. The series of Happy Thoughts is similar to Let's Talk in that it's each a different social issue and a different activity. So, with going to the beach, Emma has zero fear of the water. So, she has to be taught to slow down, patient, wait. And that's where her friends come in so they can spend a really fun day at the beach. So that book I'm so excited about just came out a week ago. And honestly, this is one of my favorite covers. I love this cover. And the amazing Brainstorm Productions did that book. So they have done My Cat Brothers, which is actually about my silly kitties. So these are my two boys right here. This is Oreo and Dallas. Their names are changed in the book. That's the other really beautiful thing about writing is that all my characters' names are for somebody who either passed away or is very special in my life, except for Emma and Harper. The only reason I didn't make them names is because I didn't want anybody to be offended or jealous or feel disrespected. So outside of them, all the other names are for somebody for their memory. So that is kind of in my, homage to my family, who has been the most incredibly supportive people ever. And actually, my dad is the one that wanted me to write the Cat Brothers series. So that one is narrated by Dallas, my little black kitty. And the second one's narrated by his brother. And that one, Rascal, is really about what happened when I brought Oreo home, which has kind of turned into a sibling story about what to do when you bring home a new sibling, which is was not the intention, but the reception and people loving it, I'm like, that's fine with me. Because Oreo is very much the silly, mischievous little troublemaker little brother. Um, and then Mischievous Cat Brothers is Oreo talking about the silly mischief that he gets into with his brother because I never knew how fun and adorable cats were until I adopted both of them. And they're kind of the reason I got into special needs cats as well. And there's three cat rescues that I follow, and I donate a portion of proceeds from anything cat related that sells every month. So anything cat book related, anything cat toy related that I sell at festivals, I donate a portion to a special needs cat rescue every month. Because there's nothing different with these babies. It's just, if they're medical and they're hydro, they may cost more. But other than that, they get around just as well, even without eyes, even with three legs. Hydro, they're tiny. They're like kitten sized, but with these big heads. It's really adorable. They still play just like any other cat does. Sometimes their lives could be shorter because of the disorder, but for while they're here, they're just the exact same. So that kind of ties in with autism, and I thought was really amazing to do for books. And thankfully, Brainstorm is able to do my next book, and thankfully, they were able to do Happy Thoughts Going to the Beach. So my platform has been really about special needs, and it's grown to this amazing place. And it's really been through networking, through another author that reached out to me to introduce me to Marlene. And then Marlene has been incredible. You know, um, she's a liaison volunteer with the CLU and now with Brainstorm. Um, but I could not be more thankful for this platform or for my books. Explaining this at festivals, families come over and they're like, wow, it helps us understand our child. Or, the last festival I did, a mom was like, she came over and she's like, we just figured out my child had sensory issues. And now that we've got the weighted blanket, the weighted backpack, we understand and we can help her more. And that's what Let's Talk 3, Learning to Bowl, is about, is sensory difficulties. And also in Let's Talk 4, they've got the sensory difficulties too, because these are things that are not put out there like they should be. These are not things that are promoted or not promoted in a positive light. And that's really why I became a children's book author, because I wanted to put out there my experiences in a positive way. And it's grown to something that I can't even imagine. I never imagined as a little kid. Um, so my 12th book just came out. I also have my podcast for 3 years, but I am also now writing articles for magazines. If you want to follow me on social media, I have a really amazing summit coming up next month. So I'm starting to write about my experiences in the field as a behavior specialist. I have an article, and I checked with Brainstorm. I am talking about Brainstorm and my experience with them and how working with them has changed me positively in an article for the magazine Success Savvy in September. So I'm very, very excited about that. Because, I've been in the field since 2014, but I've worked with kids since I was 16 years old. When I first started working in daycares, we had a little one with autism and we didn't know that. And I was the only one she would talk to. Well, she had a lot of difficulty. She was limited talking, limited verbal talking, but I was the only one she would grab the hand and try to verbalize to me that somebody wasn't playing with her, or she wanted to play. And that was really the first interactions I had with an individual with autism. But that's where I really started to think about getting into behavior. And I kind of fell into it when I was looking for master's degrees. And then I kind of fell into my first job. My first ever supervisor was not the best, personally, as a human being, but as a behaviorist, she was phenomenal. So I've learned a lot over the years, and that article is going to be one of my most personal and favorite ones yet in September because it talks half about how working in the community has changed me both personally and professionally, and the other half is how working with Brainstorm has as well. So, it's being able to have this dream, just seeing this on the screen from Barnes and Noble. I was just talking about this the other day. Like, this is, oh, yeah, you can go back to see, just ask go back to see me. Um, that's not a problem. So, being able to go on to a store that I grew up going to, and I still love going to Barnes and Noble and seeing my books. So I have a Halloween book called Spooky Ookie Dance Party, which was illustrated by Brainstorm Productions. Um, I don't think two and two, three, four, five. So it's not on here, but it is on Amazon. Um, so I had a student tell me that she saw my book on display at Barnes& and Noble in her hometown in Delaware. And that just blew me away because it's really hard to get your books, the physical copies, into the store. Um, but seeing it this way and just being able to Google it and then hearing that, it just makes the little girl in me so incredibly happy. It really is a dream come true, and it's so much more than I ever thought. I always wanted to do something good. I always grew up with donating and doing volunteer work. So being able to combine my passion with psychology with my passion for writing, it has been something that I never expected, and it's grown into something so incredible. I have a lot more opportunities coming up. I cannot wait for that article in Success Savvy about working with Brainstorm. Their logo is going to be there, and I checked with them. They okayed it, so I'm really excited about that. So I have a lot of really amazing opportunities coming up, and Brainstorm
So
is going to be
Lisa,
the
let
best.
me interrupt
Yeah,
you.
go for it.
We have such a great audience here. Why don't we see if they have any questions for
Yes,
you?
please.
So if you want to, you can just take yourself off of mute, everybody, because this is a small group. And so just feel free to ask Lisa any questions.
Yeah, if there's any books you want to know more about or anything I'm doing or more about Brainstorm.
I'm counting on Savag. Savag, you always have a good question. You want to kick this off?
Okay. What made you into cats? Did you have a cat before? Do you still have a cat?
I do. So my parents are both allergic to cats and dogs, but I've always loved animals. And the first thing I did when I moved out was I adopted my first cat from the shelter. And my second cat literally was a surprise that kind of dropped in my lap. But my first cat is a total cuddle bug, very social, very much what you think a cat would be. My second cat, his younger brother, is not. He is playful and silly and a total mischief maker. And that's what really prompted me to write the Cat Brothers series because I never knew cats could be like that. Um, and I thought, like I'm very close to my dad. I thought it'd be amazing to make him happy to write the stories. And I just thought it'd be a really good way to kind of show people that cats are really cute. As much as I love dogs, I've had many people come up to my table and say, you should write a book about dogs. Well, I write what I know, so when I adopt a dog, I will, and I've had my cats for 8 years now. I've had my Dallas. So over that time, I've got to learn special needs cats really well. And that's what made me want to write about that too, because I saw how my platform was changing people's minds about autism. So I wanted to branch out when it came to special needs cats as well. So that's how Perfect came out. And then the Bones and Friends mystery as well. So I figure, you know what? Most of my books have series. Is going to get its own spin-off series. Why not do it for my special needs cats as well?
And do you have any children, or what's your connection with autism?
I work in the field. So I've been in the field of autism and working as a behavior specialist since 2014. I worked with adults in residential group homes, writing behavior plans, done many, many FBAs, updated even more FBAs for 4 years. Then I worked with kids doing in-home ABA as without the RBT certification. I was working on it. So but I was doing one-on-one therapy with kids for a year and a half. And then I switched to early intervention for 5 years, where I worked with kids under 3 years old with autism and delays. And it's supposed to be parent training, but about 75% of the time, the parents just wanted one-to-one therapy. So I do a lot of that. Um, so I've got a very strong background in applied behavior analysis. And now I'm doing social skills training. I am also working on my doctorate in school psychology. I have about a year and a half to go. So I have two master's degrees, one in ABA, one in school psychology. So I have a very strong background in that. And I've been doing school psych type little things since 2023. The social skills training. I ran social skills groups for teenagers when I worked in the residential group homes. I was helping to run an SEL group for fifth grade boys in one of my towns here for a year. Um, and through my doctorate and master's, I've been trained in assessments and counseling skills, and I start my internship in October. From that first time when I was 22 and I worked with the little one in pre-K that had autism, it's been a really huge part of my career and my life. And I think that I was always meant to go towards something like this. My parents raised me and my brother to be open to anyone, anything, no matter what. And I honestly enjoy the company of individuals with autism more than I do neurotypical individuals. I've got a very strong background in it, and I've been teaching as professor for 3.5 years now. So that's been really fun as well because I've had a number of students be like, oh, I'm changing my major to psych nursing. I just had a student that graduated with her bachelor's go into ABA. And I had another one from my first class I ever taught go into ABA as well. So, I think for me, getting into this field was something I was always meant to do. And I've got a very strong background in behavior that I'm continuing to work on and kind of bringing that as a professor too.
You mentioned you had a background, and you mentioned your degrees, and where you having doing a doctorate in teaching. What university is this? Is it all the same university?
So my bachelor's is from Montclair State University, and then both of my master's degrees are from Capella University, an online school. So this is my second attempt at a doctorate. I had done 3 years of a PhD program in ABA at Chicago School of Professional Psychology. I withdrew from that to respecialize in school psych. And I've been working on my PsyD doctorate of psychology since 2023, and I have a year and a half to go. And I will absolutely finally be finishing a doctorate program. And I can't wait to obtain my license in school psychology as well, all from
Um,
Capella.
yeah, but what's your thesis about?
So, my original thesis for so I have two. My thesis from my first doctorate was about token economies and using it to increase positive behaviors. And then for the PsyD, I did a literature review on social anxiety and the use of mindfulness skills in schools to decrease social anxiety for children. And it had a large focus on culture as well. So that is something that is a lit review that I'm very interested in for research wise. So I'm hoping to turn that into something that I present at conferences. I'm actually presenting at I forgot about Wellness Through Words. So another book. So I'm actually presenting another form of my research next month at the American Psych Association conference. It's based off my chapter in Wellness Through Words, a #1 Amazon best-selling book about medical encounters and how to be proactive and decrease the chance of there being difficulties during emergencies, pre-planned medical appointments. So I'm hoping to take my literature review on social anxiety and mindfulness and turn it into something like that. I also have a training through NJPA on that chapter on medical encounters that I'm doing in December. So if anybody's interested, you can always reach out to me. That's a Zoom as well. It's going to be really awesome. So I had a couple different things going on, but my main focus is the social anxiety and decreasing it with mindfulness. But it was a literature review, which is not always fun, but I'm very excited to have it for future opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah, of course.
Tal, for the opportunity.
Thanks, Sabag.
Thank you for the
Um,
questions. Those are awesome.
so Lisa, how do you get your books published? Do you self-publish or do you work with a publisher?
So I am currently self-published. My first Happy Thoughts book, Going to the Aquarium, was originally traditionally published. However, I had to cancel that contract because there were a lot of issues going on. So I did have a traditional publisher, and I'm currently, for every book that I put out, I always try to get a traditional publisher first. But unfortunately, it's really, really difficult. So there's about 3% of published authors are with a traditional company. So if I don't receive a response or I receive a rejection, I publish on my own instead. And you never know what can happen. I would love a traditional publisher. Myself and another author have a really awesome collaboration book that we've been shopping around. But there's a lot of vanity publishers. So we've been very picky. So, you never know what can happen. And even if I got a traditional book, I would still want Brainstorm to do certain ones of my books. So it'd be awesome to get a traditional publisher. But until then, I'm
Okay, and do
self-publishing.
you do except for the illustrations, do you do every aspect of laying it out, or do you work with other folks to help with the production?
So Brainstorm is the one that helps with that, and Blueberry does it for my Let's Talk series. And Brainstorm is really awesome. They do my cover, they do my layout, and they choose a header and a footer. And they've actually come up with a really cool background for the back covers of my books now, which is really awesome. So instead of just it being a color, like with Bones and Friends, the case of the vanishing fish, it's actually got the fish on the back. It's got an infinity symbol with all three boys, which is really cool. And then Happy Thoughts Going to the Beach has like a whole beach scene. So I give them creative liberty when it comes to that. But I don't know how to do any of that otherwise.
Okay, so they actually do the layout for you
Mhm.
of the whole book. Well, that's a great service
I agree.
because that can be very tedious. Any more questions for Lisa? Well, thanks everybody for coming today. Lisa, did you want to tie it up at all, or it was a
Yeah,
very
I would love. So I have social media. I have everything. Facebook is Books by Lisa Jacovsky. Instagram and Threads is Diverse Ink Books. And TikTok is Lisa J Author. I would love if you went and followed me and even just to keep up with what I'm doing. My ebook for Happy Thoughts is free right now until Monday. You could always download it and read it later. And like I said, I have a lot of really awesome things coming out. I have an amazing leadership summit next month. I have the amazing article on Success Savvy in September about brainstorm productions. I actually have a cover of, oh, my contact information is my email, Lisa at Lisa
Can you
J.
just type it into the chat, Lisa? Because I
I'm
think
gonna do. Lisa
I
at
think all this audio stuff
J.
might
Dot net.
be difficult for
So
people.
Insta is Diverse Inc. Books, and I'll put Insta and TikTok because I'm most active on them. But I do provide mentoring for authors. I do provide information on Brainstorm if you wanted to contact them. They are looking for new clients. Um, I do have a lot of discounts for the summit next month for I got a cover of a magazine, my first ever cover. So my cover is coming out in October. I'm super, super excited about that. I have another chapter in anthology coming out in December, and that is about my journey to becoming, a front-facing author and speaker, because I have battled with social anxiety. So that chapter is all about that. How to get the ebook. It's on Amazon. You're welcome to email me for the link. I can send it to you. So I put my email in there. I don't have access to be able to go onto Google and get it right now, but you can definitely email me if you'd like the link. I'm very active on Instagram and TikTok the most, and
So
obviously
I can
Threads.
put your email address if that helps.
I put my email. I don't know if you want to go and get the link to the Amazon book, Judy, because she's asking how to get the ebook. It's free right now until Monday.
Which book is that?
Happy Thoughts Going to the Beach. That's my brand new one. So, lots of really, really cool things coming out. I'm doing a summit in Vegas where I'm speaking on leading with a purpose. So that's gonna be really awesome in November. So, and I just had 2 magazine articles. Well, so this is one of them. This was in Becoming an Unstoppable Woman about what I'm doing. I don't have pictures of the 2 that just came out this month. One in Incubator magazine, one in Success Savvy. So really, really cool stuff, so you can come follow me for more info or email me anytime for more info. But lots of really amazing things coming out. And I appreciate you guys for being here and asking questions. And if you check out Happy Thoughts, I would love to know what you think.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting the direct link, but it does show that it's $50 free right now.
Let
So
me see if I can get it. Just pulling up Amazon and see if I can grab it really quick. It is free on regular Kindle right now, and I have it on Kindle Unlimited as well. Let me see if I can go get the link. Because I do these on my computer now instead of my iPad, so that way, oh, I might be able to get the link. So it's just a really beautiful book. Oh, here we go. I got the link. That copied, it should have. No, no, it doesn't want to copy. Okay, let me go see if I can get this link. There we go.
okay.
That was copied. There we go. There's the link to the ebook. It is free if you guys want to check it out.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks everybody for coming. The session was recorded, so I'll be sending
Yay.
you a link to the recording. But thanks everybody for attending. And if you're interested in seeing more of Lisa, then join Friends and Fun, and you can see her once a month.
I would
Anyway,
love that too.
thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye, guys.